in anything you do, it's so important to believe in your own ability. And you can have so many people around you validating you and telling you you're good at something, but if you don't believe that's true, you're never going to get there.
As a 3-time Olympic gold medalist and 5-time world record holder, Stephanie is a sporting hero who stands in the top echelon of swimming around the globe. Stephanie made history at the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games, winning the 200-metre freestyle relay, 200-metre and 400-metre individual medley events, all in world record times. Her hard work and success led her to receive the Medal of the Order of Australia in 2009. She continues to inspire others to be their best self through mentoring and mental health advocacy. What has impressed me most is Stephanie's generosity and commitment to community causes. I experienced this first at the age of 4 when I attended a swimming clinic coached by Steph. I was the youngest there by at least 10 years, and despite only being able to swim backstroke, Stephanie had enormous faith in my ability. Steph and I grew to know one another, and Steph quickly became invested into my personal experience living with cystic fibrosis. Together, we advocated, filmed campaign videos, and even featured on the cover of Women's Day. My little self felt unstoppable, and I'm forever grateful for Steph's support. She taught me how to fight, pursue my dreams, not let anything stand in my way, and continues to be a role model for mindset and determination. I'm sure she will leave you as inspired as she has made me for many years. Please join me in welcoming Stephanie Rice.
Hi, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here. And Kate, thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction. I wish I could have been there in person to celebrate with you guys and to do this live because, gosh, I miss live events so very much. I hope you can hear me okay. It's telling me I have bad network. You can hear me? Cool. Thank you. Appreciate the validation. Look, today I want to share a little bit of my own story. I think a lot of people know about me from my Olympic success, and obviously it's one of my most proud moments, but I want to kind of share the journey with you and share how I got to be an Olympic champion, but also the mindset behind everything that went into that success. And I think personally, it's why Kate and I connected so deeply, because I think we share a lot of similarities personally. So look, growing up, I definitely was a really shy kid. If you had told my 7-year-old self that I would be presenting and doing live events and being on the covers of magazines, I never would have believed it was possible because I was just so shy. I hated doing anything publicly. I really struggled to fit in at school. I just felt like I didn't really have peers and friends that understood me. And that was really what led me to swimming. I found swimming. I loved swimming. I was never great at it, but I just loved being in the water. I loved the freedom that I had. And then when I started progressing through the ranks, I really felt like my swimming friends knew me and understood me, which I never really felt like I had at school. And I remember very distinctly in sort of grade 4 or 5, I just didn't really have friends at school. And I still tell this to people and they're like, no, of course you had friends at school. But I just really didn't. I remember one day coming down for lunch, and I put my lunchbox in the circle of all my friends and went off to the bathroom and came back, and my lunchbox was like kicked out of the circle and nobody wanted to let me back into this little group. And so I thought, well, I'll just go sit with the grade 2s, even though I was in grade 5, which is so ridiculous. But I think it's why I was so driven to find something that made me feel included and feel accepted. And I really found that in swimming. I loved my swimming friends, and I loved that feeling of being good at something, because I was never really good at anything in particular. And as I progressed with my swimming, that's when I think my school friends started validating me, like, oh, that's Stephanie, she's the swimmer. And that really made me feel like I was a part of something and I was good at something. So naturally, when you're good at something, you keep going and you get passionate about it and motivated about it. And so I focused really hard on my swimming training. And I did well, but not like super well. Um, and it was sort of at the age of 14 that things really started to shift and change for me. So I went to the age nationals as a 14-year-old and I came sixth in the 100 butterfly. And that was like a huge milestone for me. Going into that meet, I was ranked about 30th in the country for my age, and coming sixth was like a huge improvement. And it was kind of the taste I needed for going on to work harder, train harder, be more focused. And so I went back to the age nationals a year later as a 15-year-old and won 6 gold medals. And so in the space of 12 months, I came sixth in one race to the next year winning 6 gold medals. And it was just this mind-blowing achievement that I never really felt like I was capable of. And I'm sure you guys have had moments where you feel like you have achieved something or done something beyond what you believed was capable of yourself. And I remember at that time, everybody was very interested in my swimming success. And, you know, I was still at school. So all my school friends now like really validated me and wanted to be friends with me. And that felt really nice, having had a primary school of kind of not really being included. And at that time, swimming became really expensive. And so my parents were struggling to pay for private school, plus all our swimming competitions away and traveling camps. And those racing suits that I'm sure you guys have seen at the Olympics, they're $400 each. And we would go through about 10 of them a year. So things just started getting really expensive. And so my mum started asking the school if there was any way of getting some type of scholarship program. And I remember so clearly, because my mum will never let me forget it, the sporting coach who had to sign off on getting a sports scholarship said to my mum that I would never be an elite athlete because I didn't have the body for it. And to tell that to a 14-year-old girl is just so ridiculously wrong. And I used that as like motivation, though. I was like, screw you, let me show you how good I can be. And nonetheless, we left that school and found a new school, and they took me on a full scholarship. And that was the biggest impact and pivotal moment that could have happened for me, because they believed in my ability and my goals. And I remember when I sat down for the interview with this principal at the new school, and she said to me, so what are your goals? And I was like, to win an Olympic gold medal. And my mum was sitting there in the room and she was like, oh shit, okay, I guess we're really going for it. And so I think it took everybody a little bit by surprise, but it came out of me so naturally, like, of course, that's exactly what I'm going for. And so she believed in me. She had no doubt at all. She's like, well, let's help you get there. And so during grade 11 and 12, I had the opportunity to do that over 3 years. But that would mean that my first chance at really making the senior swimming team would be for the Commonwealth Games. And that was going to be right after I would finish grade 12 in the traditional way. And so I thought, no, I just need to do it over 2 years so that I'm done and I can be really focused on my swimming career. So I did 3 subjects in grade 11 and 12, which had never been done before. So they really did everything possible to support my swimming journey, and it was the best thing to ever happen to me. So right out of high school, I made the Commonwealth Games team. We're really lucky for Commonwealth Games in Australia. They take 3 people, whereas traditionally they only take the top 2. So I managed to get the 3rd spot in all of my events, and then went to the Commonwealth Games and won both of them. And it was a huge boost in my ability and my belief in myself, because I think in anything you do, it's so important to believe in your own ability. And you can have so many people around you validating you and telling you you're good at something, but if you don't believe that's true, you're never going to get there. And I always found this quote after that point in time, which was by Napoleon Hill. And it says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And I printed it out and stuck it on my ceiling in my bedroom. And every night when I went to bed, I would read it and I would visualize myself competing at the Olympics. And visualization is an incredibly powerful tool for your mental performance. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have been watching the Olympics at the moment, and competing at the Olympics is the most volatile arena that you can perform in. So many things can go wrong, which I'll share with you in my experience soon. But believing and having this visualization practice allows you to control certain aspects of the performance. So I would every night just lie there and visualize myself walking out behind the blocks, waving to the crowd, feeling the energy of the stadium. And then when you get there, it feels like, yeah, I've been here before. I've done this before. It feels a little bit more common. So I would practice that every night. And I went then to the Olympic trials, which you have to do in order to qualify to go to the Olympics. And I'd done this huge training block. Like, I knew I had been training better than I had ever trained before, but we hadn't had any racing. So you can't really tell if the training is going to, equate to a good race. Like, you think it is, but you're not totally sure. And so I went to my first real Olympic trials with the sole goal of just like getting my ticket to go to Beijing. I had no other goal whatsoever. And I need to kind of share the backstory that the world record held in the 400 medley at the time was 8 seconds faster than my best time. So never had I ever spoken to my coach about breaking world records or trying to get close to the world record. It had never been a conversation to take place. And so I'm done my warm up for the 400 medley. I'm nervous as all hell. And I have this quick 5-minute chat with my coach right before I go to the marshalling area and then step out behind the race. And my coach said to me, okay, Steph, you've trained really hard. You're feeling good. We just don't want to put any targets on our back. We just want to get on the plane, book your spot to Beijing. No world records, nothing too crazy. And I looked at him like, world records? We've never spoken about a world record ever before. Why are you bringing this up? It made me so frustrated. And I was like, do you know what? Like, thanks, but see you later. I'm just going to go do this race. And I remember in the race, it was the most confusing race of my life because I was so far in front of everybody else. And I couldn't tell if I was going really fast or if everybody else is going really slow. And the crowd was so loud that I wasn't sure if this was just because it's an Olympic finals or if this Olympic trials or if this is like, normal. And I touched the wall and turned around and saw the scoreboard and it was like world record. And my first reaction was, oh shit, right on the camera. Like, 70 of my friends messaged me saying, I can't believe you swore on TV. And I was like, I didn't even think about it. I was just so focused on doing this race and I was overjoyed, like completely overwhelmed. I didn't know to laugh or cry. Like, it was just this flood of emotions. And I ran over to my coach, like so incredibly excited. And I was like, oh my God, I broke the world record. And he said, I told you not to break the world record. And I was like, who gives a crap at this point in time? This is the best day of my life. You are not ruining it for me. But honestly, after that, that's when I really realized what he was trying to, depressurize this situation for me. Because now I'm going into my very first Olympics as the world record holder and as the one that everyone is talking about in the media, like she's the one to beat. And I just had never had that situation happen to me before. And it honestly made me really stressed and really anxious because I didn't know how to handle all of the emotional and mental side to this precious situation. I knew physically what I was doing was right, and I just needed to keep focusing on that. But I didn't really know how to handle the mental side of the performance. So I went to Beijing, and for those who know a little bit about the swimming program, the 400 medley is day one of the Olympics. So we were never allowed to go to the opening ceremony or do anything prior to our race because we raced on day one. And I was so nervous before this 400 medley, and the day of this swimming race, there was quite a few Australians that were meant to win and didn't win, and so it felt like every time the another Australian kind of didn't win, the pressure got put on the next person, like, oh, they'll win. And three or four of them didn't hit the gold medal, and so by the time my race came around, it felt like the weight of the world watching my performance. And I wanted to show you a little video that we filmed for the Australian Institute of Sport that will kind of highlight this moment. It's one of the hardest events that I do, so I'm always really nervous before the 400 medley. I remember just being so nervous, so many butterflies, so anxious. I remember saying to my coach, like, I'm really nervous. I'm actually nervous about how nervous I am because I've never felt this way before. I think just vocalizing the fact that this is how I feel almost takes a little bit of the pressure off. So I always found being able to share how I was feeling really, really helped me. My coach always said to focus on the simple things, focus on what you can control, focus on just swimming your own race in your own lane. Don't be distracted by the lights and the cameras and everything else, and just get out there and do the best that you can do. I think in an Olympics, when there's so much pressure on you, the more pressure you can almost take off, the better. In medley swimming, it's kind of hard to understand where you're sitting in the race because butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and freestyle, and each athlete is better at different disciplines. So the race lead can always switch and change a lot.
Exactly what she has to do, swim to a strength butterfly.
I was in front at the halfway mark because I'm quite strong in the first two disciplines of butterfly and backstroke, but I knew some of my top competitors would be better in the second half of the race. So I really had to put myself in the front. I had to race from the start.
If she steps up this lead, Stephanie Rice, like she's doing right now, she's going to be very hard to catch.
And it wasn't until the very last lap of the 400 medley where I turned and I saw my competitor was actually quite close to me.
So Rice turning with a commanding lead over Coventry and Hoff.
And I was reaffirming almost every stroke, like, you're doing a good job, keep focusing on yourself. You know, yes, your body is really hurting, just keep pushing, only 25 more meters, only 10 more strokes. Seeing a number one next to my name was just the biggest joy. Excitement, relief, pride, everything rolled up into one. I was so proud because I knew I was capable of the win, but I was more proud of being able to execute everything at that one moment in time in an environment that is so high pressure, with so much uncertainty, so much external pressure coming at you. To have been the first Australian to win a medal at the 2008 Olympics was a huge, huge honour and something I'm very proud of. I just wanted to share that because I think that people don't really, I guess the point of all the things that I want to share with you is that I think every athlete or anybody who has achieved any type of success goes through so much adversity and goes through a number of moments in time where you're tested and you have to always fall back on your own belief in your own ability. And I think that for me, winning 3 gold medals in Beijing and being able to achieve all of that is obviously something I'm incredibly proud of. But I'm proud of being able to push through the resilience and push through the people like that sports teacher that didn't believe in me, and having the pride and gratification of the people that did believe in me, because winning a medal at the Olympics is obviously a huge honor, but it's moments like that that you step back and reflect on all the people that have helped you get there. And I'm incredibly proud of those achievements. And I'm more proud now that I'm able to use that platform that I've been given through sport to have an impact and talk about mental health and talk about the importance of topics that I think are incredibly relevant in today's society. And it's one of the reasons I'm so proud to know Kate and know her adversity and know how strong she's been and know how incredibly supportive her family are. So it's a joy to be here. I know that I'm going a little bit over time, and I just want to share some of my stories with you. And yeah, thank you for allowing me the opportunity.